Hey, Wrestling World, keep up with the culture and listen to this episode in full on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Make sure to give us a follow on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook and fall under the influence.
I just want to introduce our guest, Axel Guzman. Axel, how you doing, man? You said the TikTok. So what was your first video? Like how my first video was the backstage video. What was your first video that really like got you out there with wrestling, with the wrestling TikTok family?
But the one that really got me off, man, the rest is history, man. I just kept making them, and they just kept popping. The other thing about the toxicness, they can't tell what's a joke or not.
But let's go ahead and talk about Night of Champions. And man, let's go ahead.
Listen, man, congratulations, Bianca. What a great run. You held it down, sis.
Belair in the bank, man.
How do y'all feel about, potentially Randy Orton, John Cena, Edge all retiring within the next year or two? According to Pro Wrestling World, WWE firings are expected in July.
You a wild wrestling fan if you at home counting down the days where it's like, oh yeah, I can't wait for this guy to get released. These are people with families, bro. Like,
Right here, PJ. Welcome back to Cultural Influence, man. I got another good interview for you guys today. This is kind of a different one because usually we have a wrestler. Shout outs to War King, shout outs to Sterling Bond, shout outs to Willie Finesse. But this is a different episode. I've known this man since my TikTok journey started in 2021, should I say. And he's known for his funny videos. He does a little bit of journalism at it that I like to call it. He does a lot of people tune in to watch his TikToks for his wrestling takes and stuff. So we got him on the show. Then later on, we're going to end this interview with Axel Guzman. Is going to be Hall of Famer or not. And it's pretty simple. But first off, I just want to introduce our guest, Axel Guzman. Axel, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Appreciate you guys having me on today, man.
Thank you. Yeah, but like I said, I just kind of gave a brief rundown. I didn't want to steal too much from you on there, but man, just kind of tell us a little bit, who is Axel Guzman?
Axel Guzman is just your normal, everyday wrestling fan, man. Just a guy who grew up, getting bullied like in wrestling, found TikTok and found a group of people who love it. Still to this day, I can't believe it. I grew up thinking I was the only fan to the point where I'm like, where are these? I see all these fans on TV. Where are they at? So that's really, I give my takes. I keep it funny sometimes. Sometimes, serious stuff goes with it, but I'm just a normal fan, man.
That's nice, man. So you had said, you started off, being a real wrestling fan, kind of hidden, you would get picked on it and stuff. And I think one of the unique things about being a wrestling fan is you establish a connection with it. Yeah. And I think like as subjective as wrestling is, as you know, I think it's safe to say that in the same instance with your experience. So, man, just kind of talk about your experience, your personal experience with wrestling, because some people will say that it's a getaway. Some people will say that it's just their way to find creativity, because we talk to a lot of wrestlers, man. So what is your personal connection with wrestling?
For me, bottom line, it's the storytelling, man. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the wrestling aspect. I love everything else, but the storylines, because I came into wrestling. It was in my family. My uncle and grandfather used to watch it, but I'd be in and out until I saw Triple H come back from his, his torn quads in 2002, and he came back to Raw, and I'm just watching. I'm like, wow, all these people cheering. Like, what's so special about this? And I'm like, all right, I feel the energy, and then I'm listening to the announcers, and I'm like, all right, I'll stay a little more updated. They're watching it, so it's easy. And I found Jeff Hardy, and then the storytelling with him and all the underdog stuff, man. You already know, bro. You already know.
Yeah, man. Jeff's my favorite. I remember when you had me on your show, man. That was one thing we instantly, connected on, man. Like growing up a huge Jeff Hardy fan, man. So yeah. Richie.
Oh yeah. Nah, like I'm also a super Jeff Hardy mark. I told him about Jeff Hardy. Like when Jeff Hardy was coming back to WWE, I was like, hey, there's this guy Jeff Hardy. You're gonna love him. Like he's been all that.
This was when he returned in 06 or 07.
Yeah, it was 06.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I was at that show.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy, man. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're talking about when Edge debuted the new his spinner belt.
Yes.
Yeah. I was at that show. That was in Connecticut.
Man, what a dope show.
Another fun fact, That same episode when DX spray painted WWE Tower, that was real.
Yeah, he told me that. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was
we,
like
we,
that wasn't gimmicked or nothing.
no, we drove by it the next day. It was still there.
Yeah, man. I just remember that debut. I mean, well, I'm saying debut, but that was his debut for me. But like, I just remember that music coming out, and you're just yelling at the top of your lungs. You're like, oh, I'm like, yo, who's this dude? And Richie was like, you'll love him. And here we are, 2023.
That dude. So you started being a fan around 2002?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever felt the need to ever take any breaks? Like, has wrestling ever like exhausted you to the point where you like, all right, I'm done with this? Has anything ever interrupted your fandom?
For wrestling itself, no. Personal reasons, I did have to take breaks because relationships I was a part of, they didn't like that stuff. They saw it as too nerdy and all that. So I had to take a break between 2016 and 2019.
Wow.
Basically, I stopped watching 2016, came back pre-pandemic. So like no Thunderdome, no nothing. Back when they tried to do it with no fans, terrible.
Whoa.
But that's the only time I've ever taken a break.
Yeah, because me and Axel, we could literally talk for wrestling and stuff like that. Shout outs to his to his podcast show, because I'm such a horrible host, man. Yeah, my man got his own podcast channel, got the Wrestling Chop Shop, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was on the show twice. I've done so. Yeah, man. We can literally talk wrestling for hours, and it's a fun journey, man. So yeah, for sure.
We'll break down the Wrestling Chop Shop to us.
Yeah.
So basically, on the real, this is when I first started doing wrestling TikTok, because I just posted random videos at the beginning, and I had a YouTube channel back in 2016. I remember everything. I was at the hospital waiting for my daughter to be born. So I did like top 10 of my favorite theme songs. And then I just, like I said, I took the break. So that I left it alone. So during the TikTok time, I'm like, wait, don't I got a YouTube channel I don't use? I'm like, let me try to, because people actually like listening to me. Why don't I capitalize doing a podcast? But at first, besides TikTok, I'm not really good with like doing stuff by myself. Like TikTok really opened that window for me. So I'm like, let me find some other people, because I like collaborating with people. That's when I found my brother Lewis, and then because bro, I've never been that person out. I have 30K. I don't care if you have 100. We like wrestling, bro. We could talk it. That's fine. So that's how it started. I didn't care what group of people it was. I got a few of my boys together, and the Wrestling Chop Shop, where people can come. We do predictions, game shows, all that. It's just fun. And if you want to get there, hot debates too. But we keep it cool. We try.
Got hot in there a few times when I was on there.
we try.
But you had said something about TikTok. Like TikTok pretty much started it out for me too. Same situation. I started doing those backstage wrestling videos and stuff. And
that's how I found you.
Yeah, that's how you found me.
This man's characteristics when he was doing it, I'm like, nah, I don't even see that as him. I really see the backstage stuff. It's crazy, especially Jeff Hardy. You telling me you became a fan a little like around that return, but not the way you do it. It's crazy, man. He was able to just, I'm like, yeah, this is it. This dude's cool, man. You got talent.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. And I just wanted to like kind of break out of that, because I saw how everybody on TikTok, like after I found you, I found a whole bunch of other guys like Lou, Willie Finesse, as I said, Lou, your friend, what's his name? It's a whole bunch of names that's just not coming to my head, but I always wanted to figure out, like, I know I can talk, like there's more to me than just the physical stuff. So like, this podcast was just like, let me open this podcast. And then being in college, doing podcast production, it showed me a lot of things about how to do a podcast, how to do a script, how to do video. And so I'm like, it's just a match made in heaven, man. But let's go ahead and segue back to you. You said the TikTok. So what was your first video? Like how my first video was the backstage video. What was your first video that really like got you out there with wrestling, with the wrestling TikTok family? Because I have an idea, but I just want to make sure I'm right.
First off, I got into TikTok doing random Fortnite and anime videos until I saw other videos popping up on my FYP about wrestling. I'm like, okay. First ever video was a glitch that happened in WWE 2K20. I was doing an elimination chamber match, and I went for the pin. I think it was John Cena. His leg just went up, and I just couldn't go for the pin. And I just recorded it. I woke up 90K. I'm like, okay. Recorded another one, and I'm like, wow, there's actually real fans here. Then, like I said, I was keeping up with the pandemic era a little bit, but Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton's feud, it caught my eye. It just brought back so much like ruthless aggression era type feel. And I made a video with that. I made my opinion. That one popped. But the one that really got me off, man, were those God videos, man.
God damn! God damn!
Father Cat.
That's some bullshit.
And it all came out of nowhere. I think it was the Undertaker's 25th anniversary. And I was hearing that sound going around, and I'm like, okay, the Undertaker's popular right now. That sounds popular. I was like, how can I do that and put Michelle McCool in there and all? And the rest is history, man. I just kept making them, and they just kept popping. Bianca Belair, Montez Ford, Sami Zayn and his wife, Triple H and Stephanie. I even did one with Vince and Linda. I did this. I think I did Mark Henry and Mae Young. I did so many, man. It was.
That's awesome. So, like, would you say? Because I think like one thing I like about your TikToks is you're able to kind of distinguish, like you're able to show many layers of you as a wrestling fan. And so, like, would you say how describe that process and being able to, okay, there's funny Axel, then there's critical Axel, and then there's just the fan Axel. Like, how are you able to do that? Because over your TikTok, like watching your TikToks, I see many different layers of you, and you know.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
I can imagine.
As you know, you like you said, you watch my TikToks. I am an avid Roman hater. So it's hard with, like, I think we're gonna get into the subject a little bit, like with what happened at Night of Champions. You know, I want to show that I don't care because I don't care for Roman. But as I told you guys earlier, I'm a storyline type of dude. So like, it's hard for me not to pull out my camera and be like, oh my goodness, it's actually happening. Like, I should be acting like I don't care because it's Roman, but I gotta be real with it, and that's what really it lays down to. I just always want to be 100% authentic and real when it comes to the fans. Like, I want them to know what you see is me, despite if I'm being funny, despite if I'm sitting in a corner doing a sad video because Roman's winning and everything that you get is really me, despite whichever way I come at you guys.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really enjoy about the stuff that's going on with Roman. Like, it's the storytelling, and you have a story that's good enough, even people that you don't care about become interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you become invested. So yeah, I have to give my hats off. Like that storyline feels like cinema sometimes. Like, even after the wrestling and everything is done, when the match is over, I find myself sitting up and looking at the TV even harder than, you know, watching a sequence of moves. So I definitely understand you when you say storyline is it, because that's what grabs you. You know, even my girl, who's not the biggest wrestling fan, she's into the storyline. She'll be like, oh, what happened with that? Like, when I told her what happened today, she was like, what? Like, she was mad she missed it, you know? So
yeah,
I'm with you 1,000 on that.
For sure. And you had kind of alluded to it earlier, because there is a part in here that's talked about on the script, the toxic wrestling fan base, man. So one of the things that surprises me is, like, no matter how much, even for me, for the type of content that I make on TikTok, I always like find some sort of, I'm either called, I get criticized over them. I'm like, man, I'm not even talking in some of my videos and stuff, man. So how do you deal with that? Like, what is your take with it, man? Because it gets real toxic, man.
You know, I was having the experience today. You know, I'm at big time Bianca Belair fan, as we all know what happened. So I go live on TikTok. Everybody's gonna come in the comments. It's gonna happen. If I'm gonna think about putting myself out there on a platform, trying to be an influencer or whatever I'm trying to be on TikTok with wrestling, that comes with the territory. Yeah. I just have to learn that, like, they're on the other side of a computer. Like, I can't really, like, it's like when I say to them, like, you're really allowing a person you don't know, a complete stranger, affect your emotions. And that's insane to me. So I think about it the same way. How can I allow somebody that I can't even see affect me? When I first got into it, you know, I would reply to comments, I would make videos, and I'm just like, now why give the energy anymore?
Gotta protect your peace.
Yeah.
Like if I'm saying it doesn't bother me, then don't make a video at all. Just like, okay, yeah, that's your opinion, bro. You're in my comments.
Yeah, like, and it'd be times that, like, because I did a video, I forgot what I did. It was about Cody Rhodes' pyro. Like, he has a whole bunch of pyro. And I did a video of, that Idris Elba meme where he's like coughing real hard.
Yeah.
And so I was like, how Cody Rhodes' opponents be in the ring after his entrance, and it's like a whole bunch of smoke.
Yeah.
And like they went ham, like this one dude went ham on me. He's like, y'all always got something to criticize. I'm like, it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a whole joke. And see, that's the other thing about the toxicness. They can't tell what's a joke or not.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can't even tell why you don't like a certain wrestler. Some people don't understand you don't like them for them. It's just a certain fan base, and it's really bad.
It really is, man. And you would think for something as entertaining and as subjective as wrestling is, because it's really just a battle of opinions when you think about it.
Yeah.
You would think that this would be the least toxic fan base, because I'm a huge wrestling fan. I mean, I'm a huge NBA fan. I'm a huge anime fan. And like some of the arguments that we be having in anime is very parody centered. It's like there's nothing real serious. Just like, that whole Goku beating it's a joke. But like if we come in there and give Roman the Goku moniker or something like that, it's going to it gets super ugly.
This community, I question it sometimes. I really do.
Yeah. I always compare everything to the wrestling community whenever I'm hearing about, the Star Wars fandom or like, the anime fandom. I'm like, oh, they can't be no worse than the wrestling fans, yo. Like my favorite thing to do after a pay-per-view is just get on Twitter and type recent, and when you get on those, it's a cesspool, bro. Like you'll just see all the different comments. WWE's dead or AEW in the mud. I'm like, Jesus Christ, yo. Like,
oh my.
And
God.
as much as I enjoy and love wrestling, I don't let it affect me like that. If something I don't like happens, I'm like, well, it's a part of the storyline. I treat like the MCU sometimes.
And that's the thing. Like for me, if you don't like something, why do you post about it so much?
There you go.
They trying to get clout off of it.
Why do you come into my comments or someone else's commenting on that person's video? Just you have the ability to swipe.
Yeah. But one thing I will say about like your hatred for Roman is like you was one of those people that stayed true to your hatred, because I ain't gonna lie, like 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, before he became the tribal chief, Roman was like literally universally hated by everybody. And I will sit there and say I was in that boat to some degree. And so, once that tribal chief gimmick came and he aligned with Paul Heyman, I'm like, yo, this is pretty cool. But at the same time, like the Roman character now is looking at me like, nah, y'all didn't want me now. You know what I'm saying? Don't like me now. So, I will say, like, I will applaud you on that. And there's some people who won't admit that they hated Roman that much back then, but it was really real back then. Like how much Roman was hated.
They told him he faked cancer.
Which blows my mind.
That's insane.
Like we was in that Orlando crowd after Raw. Axel, bro, we went to WrestleMania in Orlando, Florida when the Hardys came back, and we went to the Raw after Mania. After he beat Taker, yo, Axel, when I tell you the minute he held that mic up to his mouth, boo, like it was like I couldn't even, like, I hated Roman, but I'm like, I can't even participate in this, man.
I had never heard boos that strong, but when I heard boos that strong, I knew like, oh, this guy is special. Like to elicit this type of response from people, like there's obviously something here, and throughout the entire time before the tribal chief run, I had been saying people want to boo this man. Turn him heel. I have been screaming, turn him heel for years. So I love the tribal chief run. I'm all for it. I love booing him. I love saying how much he sucks, but because he's leaning into it. Like this is what he was supposed to do 5 years ago. We'd have saved a lot of time if we would just did this a long time ago. But I
better now than never.
Yeah.
Can't do this. But let's go ahead and talk about Night of Champions. And man, let's go ahead and start with because Axel, you're not the only big Bianca fan. Mr. Richie is like obsessed with Bianca.
I don't want to say obsessed now. You wrong, but
it's Bianca Belair, bro. Like.
So what's y'all take? Like, I'm gonna save mine for later.
Listen, man. Congratulations, Bianca. What a great run. You held it down, sis. It was wonderful to actually be there at WrestleMania last year to see her get back against Becky Lynch. You know what I'm saying? So, and she's had a fantastic run, bro. Like every time I go to a show and I see little girls dressed up like her, her social media presence, like everything that she's done in this run has been A1. So I can't do nothing but applaud the run because it was an amazing run. And then she lost it to Asuka. wouldn't even be too mad, bro. Like, it's Oscar, you know what I'm saying?
My favorite.
Yeah, and even the way they went about it, but it sucks to see it end. But I mean, I'm just glad that it happened, you know.
Oh, snap. It's been a rough day for you, huh, my friend?
Listen, man. I take it like this. I thought it was going to be over at WrestleMania. I got to go to WrestleMania Live. I got to see her beat Asuka. I got to see her go past 365 days.
Yeah.
I got to see the redemption arc and everything like that. Just to know that people were just preying on her downfall this whole 400 plus days, that gives me satisfaction as well. It's like she's doing. I guess she's doing her job. You still care. You say you don't care, but it's crazy. But you know, at the end of the day, WWE was put in a tough situation.
Yeah.
You didn't want to end Bianca's reign before it hit 365, so I understand why you had her beat Asuka at Mania. And now you didn't want to do the title swap that should have been happened because we have the draft, but you don't want to do that because that's how you end the title reign too. And that's a horrible way to end it. So they had to do what they had to do. It was a great run. Listen, I got to see her win at Survivor Series in person. I got to see her beat Asuka. The whole run was amazing. Belair in the bank, man.
Let's go ahead and switch over into another part of Night of Champions, man. There's a new world heavyweight champion, and he is not phenomenal. I wanted AJ Styles to win, but unfortunately, no, it is Seth freaking Rollins. But I mean, like, as much as that's my personal desire, but like, who else but Seth Rollins should be in that title?
Yeah. No hate, but I was still rooting for AJ, you know.
Yeah, once again, that's the fan part where you like, you know, you can root for something, and like just the fact that he made it to the finals, which was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. I mean, at least y'all not saying y'all want an Edge to win. You know, that whole thing was driving me insane.
There was
Go ahead.
Oh man, no, go ahead. Don't tell me y'all was saying that too. Don't tell me
was
that.
a rumor that the world heavyweight title would have the same lineage as the world heavyweight championship.
We'll talk about that.
And if that was true, I could see people being like, "Oh, I want Edge to win," or you know, whatever. Me, I was always like, "Hey, I either want AJ, Lashley, or Seth. Like, who's more over than Seth Rollins right now in any company?"
Any company, shoot, man, that's debatable.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's up there though.
It's Seth.
It's Seth, right? Yeah.
So what y'all saying that like obviously Seth is going to need to hold the world title for a while to give it some credibility. Who would y'all give Seth as his first world heavyweight championship opponent that can afford a loss? Because it's obvious that this person's not going to beat Seth. So it's like that's a quarter that you kind of in at this point.
I mean, Twitter don't tell everything, but as soon as he won, Johnny Gargano retweeted when they were both on top of the Elimination Chamber. I mean, Johnny doesn't really need it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I want to say a hail Drew McIntyre, but he can't take the L. He would have to win the title.
Yeah.
That would be great.
He's taking a lot of damage, and him and Johnny would be a banger. That'd be a really good match. So
it depends on how they're gonna go with Seth's championship. Like, is he gonna be like super serious? Is he gonna be the generous, you know, open challenge type? Like how are we doing it? Because you could even say, I mean, Chad Gable, that would be fun.
Maybe
Miz. Ooh, maybe.
I love the Miz, but I think that time has passed.
I know.
I don't want this thing to become a hot potato title now, you know.
But let's not go ahead and waste too much time on. I just want to do the last event of Night of Champions, which is the Jimmy Uso and the Usos. Pretty much, they wasn't in the match, but you know that tag team match, and it had the Usos written all over it. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn, KO, Solo Sikoa, and Roman Reigns. And the match was kind of predictable because I know Roman ain't counting the lights. He's not getting pinned. So obviously Solo was going to take the pin. I didn't see KO and Sami winning the match, unfortunately. I didn't see them losing the match. I'm sorry. I didn't see them losing, but you know, like that part was a little predictable, but once again, like what y'all said earlier, with the story being more, there being more to the story, because like me and Yvonne, my girl, we was watching and stuff like that, and we forgot that a whole match was going on. Like Jimmy Uso literally kicked Roman in the middle of a match, and we literally just forgot that. This is literally a title match going on right now.
No, seriously. By the time he got pinned, he was like, "Oh yeah, this is a match." Like, I was waiting everybody to walk off, and the little caption come up at the bottom, like, "All right."
Yeah, like, you know, let me do it. But Ax, what's your take on that, man?
All right, listen, man. This is the first time Roman said he's gonna do something and he didn't do it. So until then, I said there could have been a possibility that they put those titles on Roman too, man. Because he always says he's gonna do something and it happens. I don't care if we go to Montreal. I don't care where we go for Clash at the Castle. Such and such. I'm gonna beat him. I'm gonna stack him. This and that. So for the first time, he didn't win.
Yeah.
Because even when he lost against Cena and KO, he didn't say they was gonna win that match. That was Sammy.
Yeah.
That was Sammy. Roman never guaranteed he was gonna win nothing, so I don't put that on him. But this one, he said, "I'm gonna do this for Alpha and Zika. We gonna win it." I was like, "Oh,
bringing back the titles to the family since y'all."
I'm like, okay, they could bring the titles in for the storyline, but I'm happy they didn't, man. They're going the right route. Now, you guys said AJ, Bobby. I just don't see how that happens now when we have this Jimmy and Roman stuff going on.
Yeah, that's actually very true now.
Because I think Roman is going to have his and then if there's rumors of Roman going on hiatus after SummerSlam, I think. So I don't know exactly, but Roman is going to be, we're going to see less of Roman. And I'm thinking like this is his hottest feud right now. But Jimmy, because I definitely know Roman going to want to see the Usos after this.
I'm just glad Jimmy lived up to his old t-shirt. Nobody's bitch.
I posted that. I changed that to my PFP as soon as it happened, man. I was like, yo, he finally lived up to it, man.
Finally, well, it was a nice callback. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's who he is. You know, I still wish Jay would have got a little get back too, because that's who you really want to see sticking to Roman. But you know,
it's
Bro got him.
Yeah. I just also want to I want to put over Jimmy. Axel, here at Cultural Influence, we have this thing called put over somebody, and it's just a moment to give a person their flowers and stuff like that. And we about to put over Jimmy Uso.
Yes, sir.
Jimmy Uso, I think he is slowly closing in that gap between him and Jay as far as talent, because I think like when Jimmy was gone and injured, you know, obviously Jay Uso became main event Jay Uso. His promos was good and stuff like that, and a lot of people forget that Jimmy Uso had some character and had some charisma as well. Because like I was watching SmackDown last night and I'm just hearing these promos. I'm like, yo, Jimmy Uso. He ain't no slouch on the mic. And seeing him like, you know, show so much emotion, because you can say it on the show a bunch of times, like Jay Uso needs an Oscar. And I mean like
Emmy at least, bro, been telling the story, man.
And I'm like, if that's the case, Jimmy ain't he need a supporting, supporting actor Emmy or something, man. Because Jimmy, like, you know, the way he like after he kicked him and stuff, I'm like, yo,
well, it was a release, you know what I'm saying? I've been wanting to do that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been holding that in. So yeah, man, I was happy for Jimmy, for sure.
Yeah. So Jimmy, he deserves a lot of credit, man. Like that gap between, I still think Jay is the better Uso, but it's not just far from what you would think.
Listen, bro, when 2K gave them their different ratings, that solidified it right there. That solidified it right there. They always had the same rating. This year, Jay's just a little bit higher. That says all you need to know right there.
All right, let me put it like this. Let's just compare brothers then. You know, Jay is Jeff and Matt is like right behind Jeff. You know what I'm saying? Which is Jimmy. Because everybody knows Jeff is the better Hardy, but Matt has also shown that he's a valuable single star.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Valid, yeah. So that was it on that. Like, you got anything else you want to say on that?
I mean, you guys gave the flowers to Jimmy, but I'm gonna keep giving them to Jay, because him calling Roman Joe, and like he's just so confused, man. Jay has been so confused, and so he just don't know what to do anymore, man. Like the whole time he keeps saying it to Sammy, I ain't want to do it, I had to do it. He still messes with Sammy now. He don't know what to do, man. And we don't know how Solo gonna react.
Yeah, the
Solo was knocked the whole time.
Yeah.
Solo, yeah, I forgot all about that. And then you notice, like, I don't know what SmackDown it was. It was like a few weeks ago, but did y'all notice like Roman kind of like bumps into Solo and Solo like
Roman fears Solo, man.
yeah, like
Roman
Solo
fears-
ain't dealing with that stuff, man. So like
Told him this ain't what you want.
they're teasing something with Solo, man. But I mean, like, how do y'all think they would book this whole obvious, the three brothers versus Roman? Like, how would that book?
I have no idea where that's gonna go. Because we all know that Solo is the younger brother of the Usos, but they don't really play into it like how we know the Usos are brothers. You know what I'm saying?
They don't.
You don't really see that brotherly camaraderie between the Usos and Solo the way you see it between the Usos. So I don't know how they're gonna lean into it, but it has to come into play, right? Like, you're not gonna turn on your younger brother or your cousin, like, or my fault, uncle.
Because the thing is, they didn't even mean to kick Solo. That's the thing. They didn't mean to kick him. They don't got a problem with Solo, man. They don't say it enough, but that's their baby brother, man. We know it.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people forget that, man, because of his gimmick, because he's so
it's hard to look at him as
always
somebody
there, just like this all the time. Like
and I just got to give Sammy props to how he's kind of weaving between this story. Like how he's kind of cutting up the threads that are the bloodline, holding them together. He's like, he kind of called it like the bloodline is dying. With him coming out of the bloodline, he legitimately kind of tore it apart at the seams, and he's like been kind of telling or prophesizing the downfall. And I just love how his part in the story has been so important.
Very.
Like,
I thought it kind of climaxed at WrestleMania. I was like, all right, well, they about to go in the tag team,
or
but
Elimination Chamber.
yeah, I thought that was like the pinnacle of the whole story, but they're still continuing it and stretching it out with Sammy. So that's what made it better.
And seeing him today in Jeddah, bro, looked like a rock star. You know what I'm saying? Like, he
it
came out.
amazing.
It was so dope. And it's like Sammy is still having his moments after everybody told us he had already peaked. And so I just love seeing him have this incredible run with this storyline. Like, this storyline has gotten so many different facets of so many other different characters. It's like not even comprehensible at this point. You've seen so many other different sides of other wrestlers. It's like, oh dang, like, who else is gonna come out? And we still got more of Solo to unveil. We haven't even really seen the best of Solo yet. So it's like, man,
Right. He about to be confused Friday, man.
We got one more segment, then we're going to end it out with the game. But man, I think you had posted it on TikTok, but it's a hot story going on right now about John Cena and potentially Randy Orton retired. So, like, you hear John Cena has kind of indirectly said, my body can't take it. And Orton has been, according to his dad, the doctor told Orton to never wrestle. But I think as of now, there's been rumors of his return date, but we don't know exactly in what capacity. How do y'all feel about, potentially Randy Orton, John Cena, Edge all retiring within the next year or two? Old. You'd feel old.
old.
What a ride, man. What a ride. Because like I've come in the middle and I've seen people like Ric Flair, like, but I didn't watch him from the very beginning.
Exactly.
But with Cena and Randy, man, I remember Cena coming out with Kurt Angle. I remember Randy Orton having feuds with Hardcore Holly. Like, it hurts. It really does.
Yeah. For me, like, I grew up watching them, so it's like I feel like, is this how people felt when Stone Cold and Rock left? Like, is this how it like feels, man? Because that's how I'm feeling a little bit, man. It's like, really, like, So yeah, was it hard for y'all to find, like, because I think like were y'all in that era where y'all saw them from the start?
Yeah.
So like, do y'all think like was it harder for y'all to find these other like to switch to other stars? Because I think like I'm learning how to like find the next generational star and like them and be okay with it.
For me, if I hadn't discovered indie wrestling, it would be kind of a more difficult story because, like, being a fan of, Seth Rollins when he was Tyler Black, working his way up through, Ring of Honor, Wrestling Society X, PWG, I knew of Seth Rollins before he ever even made it to WWE. So seeing his success, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Johnny Gargano, just all of these guys that I see grind up, that really like does my fandom well, seeing people that you have seen, grind it up. So that's been a cool part of it. But like another thing is like with John Cena and Randy Orton, I was there when The Rock and Stone Cold was.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, so seeing like the beginning to the end, it's just like, dang, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I think a lot of like older fans have that problem with like where their favorite wrestler goes, and now they're kind of forced to like the current day stars.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So I feel like that's what I'm kind of having the issue with.
Yeah.
So like, yeah,
You gotta get invested in new people, man, because they're always coming, you know.
yeah.
Pause.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna play this game called Hall of Fame or Not. It's a segment in which Richie will just name random wrestlers, and I'm gonna do it within. He got 2 minutes, so he just names random wrestlers. And Axel, you just have to tell me if they're a Hall of Fame or not. And if there's a wrestler where you don't want to feel like you're unsure of, and you don't want to stir too much controversy and stay in the safe zone, just say pass.
Brian Kendrick.
Not.
Big E.
Hall of Famer.
So this one's for you, Austin Theory.
I can see it. He's already 2-time United States champion, Money in the Bank. I see Royal Rumble in his future and a world title.
Adam Pearce.
This is hard.
You know what? I'm gonna say Hall of Fame based off the fact he's been holding it down than any other manager I've seen.
Elias.
Oh hell no. I'd rather put Ezekiel in the Hall of Fame.
Chad Gable.
Not alone, but Hall of Famer.
L.A. Knight.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, Axel, man, it's been good having with you on the show, man. Talking to you on the show, man. This is like so. Hopefully next week everything will be edited and stuff. So, man, and please, if you got any more free time, and I'll just tell you some of these good episodes that we got coming up. And man, if you just want to hop on, please let me know.
Listen, man, if Saturdays are the days, that's good for you. They're good for me. I'm off both jobs, so.
All right, cool.
But before you go, plug all your socials where they can find your podcast, the name, everything. Just let people know how they can find you.
Yes, sir.
Y'all can find me at Axel Guzman 1017 on TikTok, Wrestling Chop Shop on YouTube, Players Choice on YouTube, and Meet Us in the Ring podcast. I could talk wrestling for days, man. Like that's just what it is. I appreciate you again for having me on here. Again, love talking wrestling. I wanted to talk after Night of Champions, and I got it done. So again, thank you.
Oh,
Yes,
no
sir.
problem, man. Yo, mic check, 1 2 1 2. Welcome back to Cultural Influence. We are just now getting into the nitty gritty of this episode. Shout outs to Axel Guzman. That was a great interview, man. That was like my first TikTok series interview. I'm gonna interview a bunch of guys that I've done work with over this TikTok journey, man. And Axel, having him as one of the first guests that introduced me to all these other TikTok creators, how fitting and how poetic. So special shout outs to Axel Guzman, man. He's very fun to talk to, and like he said in the show, he could talk wrestling for hours. Man.
Oh yeah, very cool brother, man. Shout out to him and the whole wrestling TikTok community, man. Just a whole bunch of great creators coming up, and we all just trying to find our way in this thing.
Exactamundo. But it's that part in the podcast where cultural influence wouldn't be cultural influence without going over the hottest stories in the form of a hot tag. So one story I want to talk about is WWE spring. Well, it's not spring no more. Summer cleaning, should I say? They've avoided putting it off, but according to Pro Wrestling World, WWE firings are expected in July. So there's There's a lot of concern about it. And Richie, before I go ahead and put my hot tag on it, what is your take on it, man?
We all knew this was coming. As with any major company that has been acquired by another corporation, they're going to assess everybody's finances, and cuts are to be expected.
Valid.
I'm assuming a lot of people that are in the offices are going to be cut, and then I'm assuming there's going to be quite a bit of talent that is going to be cut as well.
Unfortunately.
And I don't want to put a name on it because I don't like sitting here gambling and betting on people losing their livelihoods. I just hope that
this is how families are fed, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I just hope I hope the cuts are to a minimum and everybody lands on their feet. There's enough wrestling out there in the world for everybody to eat and succeed, but whenever I hear the cuts are coming, I'm like, oh boy, it starts holding my head, bro.
Yeah. And with you saying that actually goes into my take, man. I think this is a good time to be a big or somewhat of a decent wrestling promotion with some extra chump change in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? And I know Tony Khan probably pinching them pockets, rubbing his hands once them releases get announced. So
you ever seen that Michael Jordan meme where his earphones? Tony Khan when he hears about WWE releases coming.
In fact, yeah, agree. So yeah, man. So once again, it's not the end. It's not the end of the world for most talent, should you say? Because I think us wrestling fans, I don't think we fully understand the transition from going to a wrestling fan to being back in society, man. You know, it's really hard. It's really hard. You know, you can't really just go one day from being on the biggest wrestling promotion in the world to, I don't know, having a regular job and trying to be stimulated back in society.
Yeah.
You don't really hear about other guys who get released and who are just working at a Walmart or whatever and stuff like that. So yeah, man, that's one thing we definitely need to talk about. But one thing I want to point out before, because I don't want to spend too much time on this segment, is will this be a scuff as we approach the 1-year regime for Triple H? Because later, let me tease another episode. Me and Richie will be doing an interactive episode where we overview Triple H's run under creative in this full year. We're approaching a 1-year anniversary since Triple H just took over. And within that year of Triple H taking over, we've seen him bring back a lot of guys. Now, will some of those guys be re-released? You just don't know. And if they are, is that going to be a negative in the Triple H regime?
If it does, I mean, it can't reflect too poorly upon Triple H because, as we all know, shortly into his run, as he was catching steam, the big bad wolf came back.
Exactly.
You know, and whether you want to admit it or not, that obviously had some hand to do with the way some talents were handled. You know,
Agreed.
So, you know, and then also the company was bought. So there's just so many different factors that go into Triple H's first year. He wasn't allowed to just have the ship to himself completely.
It was a tainted run, should you say?
A little bit, but
Okay.
I like where we are.
Yeah, okay.
You
cool.
know?
So save your smoke for later because that's gonna be a whole nother episode.
Most
But
definitely.
I just want to point this out with the whole firings coming because I don't want to just sit there. I don't want to be a person brought back under the Triple H regime only to be told that, hey, yo, we letting you go again.
Right. And there's a lot of you sick wrestling fans is out there counting the days off because you can't wait for somebody to be released because you don't like these people. You know what I'm saying? You a wild wrestling fan if you at home counting down the days where it's like, oh yeah, I can't wait for this guy to get released. You know, these are people with families, bro. Like, I don't want anybody to really get fired, but business is business.
Exactly.
You know? So this is just what happens.
Yeah. And speaking of other wrestling promotions that could grab these talent, AEW has grabbed some talent. And in the form of this talent being a wrestler, no, but this is a one-off appearance, and it's from one of my favorite wrestlers, Sabu. Seeing Sabu on national television on AEW, man, for the first time in, I mean, last time I think we seen Sabu on national television was when TNA was on Spike years ago. So it's every bit of 10 years. I'm personally excited to see Sabu because every time I see Sabu, it felt like a big deal.
Yeah.
So my one big problem is, what the fuck is he doing with Adam Cole and Chris Jericho?
Bro,
He has no business with him.
I mean, he might have some history with Chris Jericho, but I'm not like immediately aware of it because I just don't remember the ECW stuff like that.
Yeah, and these guys aren't even hardcore wrestlers. Like I could see them inserting it with some shit with John Moxley, but this ain't got, like, bro, come on, man.
Yeah, like you said, like, Sabu is a great story in wrestling. You know, I saw a tweet from X-Pac that said, I've never saw somebody give so much pro wrestling and get less in return than Sabu. You know, Sabu is probably a lot of your favorite wrestlers' influences. You know what I'm saying? Sabu,
RVD.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio.
RVD said Sabu influenced him in so many ways.
Yeah. Sabu was great, man. Like you said, the double, triple jump moonsaults and everything. Sabu legit. Sabu is a madman. Some of the stories, you know, him putting his body back together with
taping his in the middle of a match.
You know what I'm saying? The scars and stuff all over his body. Like, Sabu's body tells a story. You know, and it's cool seeing it, but like you said, it doesn't really. The correlation isn't matching up.
Yeah,
You know?
it doesn't. But Tony Khan, according to Tony Khan, he says just a one-off appearance. We don't know where the ship will take us, and there's controversy for Sabu's name already for some stuff that has transpired.
See, I don't have any ill feelings towards Sabu. My only issue with the Sabu thing is AEW. If you set a precedent with your company where you're banning Hulk Hogan, or you know you want to be, you know, super righteous in your appearance, that's fine. But keep that same energy across the board. You know what I'm saying? You can't say, oh, we're gonna ban Hulk Hogan and Linda Hogan just for internet and wrestling kudos, and then have Sabu on here who was saying, you know, controversial stuff more recently than Hulk Hogan, and legit said the same kind of stuff, and then doubled down on it. You know, he might have issued an apology, but so did Hogan, and he still looked at how he is. You know, so it's just, keep that same energy if you're going to keep that energy. But if you're just going to be a business and run as a business, then do that, you know?
Yeah, valid.
You know, because nobody's going to be wrong at you. Nobody's going to be mad at you for trying to do the right thing. But when you do the right thing and have exceptions,
yeah, it makes you look sideways. And the one thing I will point out about that, like kind of go back to what we said earlier, with them bringing Sabu in a purposeful, you know, with things that have no real purpose and stuff like that, it just goes to show you that they're just bringing in Sabu to get eyes on the product.
Yeah.
And so, like, for them to sit there and bring Sabu in just to bring eyes on the product, knowing that they done set this high standard of, you know, hey, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
It kind of makes them look like a hypocrite in a sense.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that.
It's just a lot of virtue signaling going on, you know, because we give WWE crap all the time for all of their, you know, stuff that they do. Like, WWE is notoriously problematic, you know.
Oh, most definitely.
So if you want to be the antithesis of that, you got to keep that same energy with everybody across the board, you know. Yeah. And so that's why it's kind of a double-edged sword. You know,
it is,
because you like Sabu, but you know Sabu comes with a little bit of baggage.
He does come with a little bit of baggage, man. But let's go ahead and segue into, you know, speaking of AEW news, let's go ahead and segue into RIP. You know, one time for Elevation in AEW Dark, because with the launch of AEW Collision, that means that Dark and Elevation will no longer be active. So, you know, it's kind of bittersweet. I'm not about to sit here and be one of those people that say, oh my God, I watched Elevation and I watched Dark. Bro, I didn't. Like, the only time I watched Dark was when my boy, shout outs to Baron Black, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, for the culture. Yeah, when he was on AEW. So, yeah, that was the only time I might have watched it a couple of times. Moxley might have been in there. I've watched it. I watched it when Orange Cassidy appeared, but
I saw Danny B's match not too long ago on there. She had her match on, I don't know, it was one of them AEW YouTube shows. But yeah, I had to support, you know, Shawty from OKC.
Oh yeah, for sure. We getting you on the show, you know, so don't worry. You just respond to my message whenever you get time. Danny B. That's gonna be a running gag on the show now, y'all. Danny B on Cultural Influence. You know, she heard it first.
yeah. No, I watched. That was the last time I watched it, and probably the first time I watched it that I can remember. You know. So.
Yeah. So,
but I do know that it was just a great tool for up and coming guys that wanted to get on. You know, we talked to Working. Working was trying to get on. You know what I'm saying? We were talking like Sterling Bond and D'Angelo. You know, like that was a goal for guys. So I hate that that's not being taken. That's not going to be there anymore.
Unfortunately,
but from what I understand, that's supposed to be what Rampage is going to be for now.
Okay, and it's going to be on national television. Praise God.
So that's a good look, you know. I will say though, with the AEW show coming up, having a weekly Saturday show at 7, that's kind of a tall order.
It is.
You know,
you're sitting a real big precedent, man. For that.
It's kind of hard to sit there and say like, oh, we're going to watch this weekly Saturday show during this like a 7 o'clock slot on Saturday is wild.
It is.
You know, there's a lot of sports that come on, like football games, basketball.
Go Miami Heat. As of this recording, they are playing the Boston Celtics. But anyway, continue. I just want to put that out there.
But I know that's something that I can't commit to. You know, there's so much wrestling that comes on during the week. It's hard to just be like, I watch every single wrestling show that comes on every single day. Because if you wanted to watch wrestling every day throughout the week, you would be watching wrestling on Monday, Tuesday, when like MLW, Impact, AEW.
It's just I ain't gonna say it's impossible, but I mean, like,
bro, I got stuff to do, son. I got a family, I got a girl. Like, there's movies I want to go see. Like, it's hard to just sit there.
We're nerds. We're black nerds, guys.
Show that's out there. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch every Collision, and I'm super excited to watch it. But I definitely will if I can, you know. But it's going to be expendable, especially when, like, pay-per-views start coming on on Saturdays.
And there is a rumored brand split. There's going to be rumored rosters for Dynamite, and there's going to be a rumored roster for Collision. So I don't know. I'm taking that with a big grain of salt because Tony Khan teased, like, hey, we got more coming in regards to the show. So I'm wondering that's what it's probably about because, of course, CM Punk has been teased for Collision. I don't want to talk too much about the whole CM Punk situation. situation, but they're supposed to keep him away from certain guys on the Collision show. And I mean, I think having CM Punk wrestle on Saturday nights, that kind of addresses that Saturday night primetime hole that you were talking about.
Yeah, you know, I don't know, man.
Like I said, Tony Khan,
you're going to be really testing his drawing power to see if people are going to tune in every Saturday to watch that. Like today, when we watched Night of Champions, 12 was such a good time.
It was.
It was early.
It was a matinee.
Yeah, it was like a matinee showing. You got it knocked out and you were good. I remember when I was a kid, I would watch WCW Saturday night, and it would come on at like 6:05. You know, it was a good little time, and it was on for an hour, maybe an hour and a half at the most if something was going to happen. And you got in and got out. But 2 hours every Saturday, oh man, brother, you know, I don't know. It seems like a risk, but hopefully it pays off.
True. On to our next story. I think we need to do some segment for the women's wrestling. So one story I want to talk about is Alicia Fox. You know, she still got a lot left in the tank, in the words of the great Mark Henry, man. So apparently she was on Melina's podcast. Melina, she's my first wrestling crush back in the day, you know, with her beautiful self. She said, you know, she's not done wrestling. The Machine said that she's done wrestling. And so she's kind of reiterated that she wants to get back in the ring. It doesn't need to be the WWE. I'm excited about it. Like, I feel good about it because I think it was like, I feel like it was just randomly on one Raw that she was referred to as a legend. And I'm like, wait, huh? Alicia Fox is a legend now?
Hey,
like,
listen, she was the first Black Divas champion. Put some respect on her name. Best Northern Lights suplex in the business.
I was just about to say
on
that.
Her name.
I was about to say
she got a sexy belly button. Put some respect on her name.
Audi guy, but hey, man, that ain't. I ain't agreeing with him on that one.
Nah, bro, wildin', man. Nah, I'm happy that she still has the itch to wrestle. You know what I'm saying? Get out here and make it happen. Shout outs to my girl Trinity and Impact doing that damn thing right now. Shout outs to our girl Sasha Banks who's taking it wrestling
go ahead and
worldwide.
Yeah, go ahead.
Feel me?
Yeah, let me go ahead and segue into the next story. So the pro wrestling world is reporting that she is under a longer term deal in Japan.
Hey, and I just want to wish her a speedy recovery. She was in New Japan Strong last week, fighting for the first, I want to say, New Japan Strong Women's Championship against Willow Nightingale. She had a foot injury, an ankle injury of some sort, called it on the fly, and now our girl Willow Nightingale is the first New Japan Strong Women's Champion. You feel me? So it's like Sasha out here making moves, putting other chicks over. You know, it's all in the hard day's work, man. But, you know, that's GOAT team. So shout out to Sasha. Oh, my fault. Mercedes Monè.
Oh, most definitely.
My bad.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think, like, with her signing this deal, because everyone said, you know, oh, she's only signing a shorter deal because she wants to eventually return to WWE or appear on wherever she wants to appear. Well, I don't think that's the case no more. And I'm starting to think that might have been New Japan's case in regards to seeing her drawing power. Because when they did that show in San Jose and they announced that she would be there, like that, tickets was going like that. So, you know, just another deal for proving that you a GOAT and stuff like that. And people thought she was really being cocky when she said she deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as Kenny and Roman. I mean, hey, yo, bro, prove them.
Prove it, you know what I'm saying? They are making titles for this woman. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So you know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do. I mean, we went a whole year of hearing Becky Lynch refer to herself as the man, so why can't Sasha? You feel me?
Becky be calling herself the GOAT, and I ain't seen her have nearly as many great matches that Sasha Banks has had.
Hey, we gonna say that conversation later.
Hey, but shout outs to Becky. Though.
Yeah, shout outs.
Trish was dope.
It was. Zoe Stark, you know, I'm starting to. She growing on me.
Yeah, now Zoe cool. That little finisher she got is nice.
Yeah.
But staying on topic of women's wrestling, Tony Khan pushing the Willow. Push Willow Nightingale. You got to. You got to, bro. That's all we need.
Oh, for sure. Well, guys, that'll be it for Hot Tags. Let's go ahead and do Cultural Influence Shorts. All right, guys, here on this edition of Cultural Influence Shorts, a wrestling group named Pro Wrestling Illustrated, very high credible wrestling source. They drop their top 500 list every year. And in 2010, Pro Wrestling Illustrated did their list. Richie here, he just has to guess the top 5 wrestlers of that respective year.
The main thing I remember about this list was that it was number one was is the GOAT, AJ Styles.
Correct.
Right?
All right, there's that.
He was the first TNA wrestler to be number 1. It's the 2000s period. Number 2 got to be like John Cena, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Randy Orton.
That's number 4.
Okay.
So that leaves you with number 3 and number 5.
Okay, so I said Randy Orton.
CM Punk. Well, that's number 3.
Was that Chris Jericho?
You're correct. Oh my God. You could have did 2000. You could have did top 10.
Feel me? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, guys, there you have it right there. All right, guys, we're all out of time right now. Thank you for tuning in and listening in. Shout outs to Axel Guzman. Shout outs to PWI for that cultural influence shorts. Shout outs to Broadcast Boys, because I actually got that idea from them with their NBA videos and stuff like that. And I actually like that topic. So next episode, I will definitely probably be in the high chair and stuff. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was a fun segment, guys. Axel Guzman, great to have him on the show. Looking forward to having with him. More TikTok guys. Expect more TikTok guys to be on this show. You know, a lot of people that I've met along my TikTok journey. It was very fun, you know.
Word up. Yeah. Shout out to Axel Guzman. Not a Champion was a great show.
Oh, definitely.
We got Battleground coming tomorrow. We got TNA Impact Under Siege tomorrow. Double or Nothing tomorrow. It's Memorial Day weekend. Wrestling fans, we are eating right now. So yeah, expect us to have a whole lot more to talk about coming up real soon, baby.
Oh, for sure. And man, like I said, 2 special episodes are on the way. We are going to definitely do a Money in the Bank review episode. You know, y'all see this bad boy briefcase right here. It will probably be an ideal prop in the next episode.
Yeah, celebration all things Money in the Bank.
Yeah. I teased it earlier in the hot tags. We're definitely going to do an interactive episode where we rate and just discuss Triple H's 1 full year of under WWE creative control. And here's another bonus episode. I want to do an NBA, basketball, and WWE episode. 2 of my favorite things collide on 1 episode. So I'm definitely excited about that. We got plenty of content coming the way. And once again, just stay tuned on YouTube. Find us on anywhere you can hear podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Find us on Instagram, find us on Facebook, and find us on TikTok. Cultural influences everywhere, baby.
Word up.
Yeah.
Follow us on separate
separate profiles. Yeah, follow me at Still Iconic Ray or Ray the Iconic Status on TikTok. That is the TikTok where this whole journey started. So please, yeah.
Richie 2 Liddy on TikTok, Rich Guy 45 Instagram. Yeah, mess with me.
All right, for sure. But until next time, I'm Ray.
I'm Richie.
And we out.